Guys, we're going to talk something today that we have not spoken about before, and you have not seen this anywhere. You've heard about it none. We're going to talk about something that's a really big deal that we all have a huge moral responsibility to help out with. And no, we're not going to talk about the numbers and how they don't add up and how Dr. Erickson has went viral for saying there's a large amount of infections and a small amount of deaths. We're going to disregard the questionable draconian measures that are taken without a shred of scientific evidence. And we're going to disregard the flip-flopping and incongruence of mandating masks after the fact, let alone the safetiness and efficacy of them. We're going to focus on social isolation. And no, I'm not talking about the peer-reviewed article from the CDC website acknowledging, quote, quarantine raises major ethical concerns regarding freedom of movement because the evidence of the effectiveness is limited, providing no solid rationale for the intervention. They continue to say this increases the risk of infection among quarantined persons, further exacerbate the ethical concerns, unquote. We're not going to talk about that. We already know that. We're going to focus on the physical, the chemical, and the emotional health risks of social isolation. Just 2 years ago, Cigna performed a study that said we as Americans are the most lonely we've ever been. And this has led many docs, psychologists, PhDs, immunologists, and epidemiologists to look into it a little bit more. And Dr. Juliana Holt-Lunstad in the Journal of Perspectives of Psychological Science, she likens the lack of social connection on your health as the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day or having an alcohol abuse problem. She also found that loneliness and social isolation are twice as harmful to physical and mental health as obesity. Let that sink in. Further research, right, she's not the only one, suggests that, quote, there is a robust evidence that social isolation and loneliness increase significant risk for premature mortality, and the magnitude of risk exceeds that of many leading health indicators. She's backed up by Dr. Hockley, who authored evidence linking perceived social isolation with adverse health consequences, including depression, poor sleep, impaired executive function, cognitive decline, poor cardiovascular function, and what do you know, impaired immunity at every stage of life, unquote. The connection with the immune system was slammed home in 2015 by a doc study at the Cal University. He and his colleagues, get this, examined gene expression in leukocytes. They are the white blood cells that play key roles in the immune system's response to an infection, right? They found that leukocytes of lonely participants showed an increased expression of genes involved in inflammatory responses and a decreased expression of genes involved in an antiviral response, unquote. Social isolation can no doubt cause loneliness. And in his study in 2015 out of the University of Cal, simply states people who feel lonely have less immunity and more inflammation than people who don't. You don't think that is imperative in this environment right now? We have a responsibility to humanity. This not only lies in the power of your chiropractic adjustment right now, and that's tough for us. This includes the empowerment of your patients, of their family, of your family, of your friends, of their friends, and any loved one out there to live. Subluxation, unfortunately, is not the only detriment that we're responsible for correcting right now.